not experience fear. Once we realize the self, this fearlessness disappears and we are the blessed ones in bliss. This shloka explains which part of me is going to die. If I am this body, is it the heart? Is it the brain? You're not any of that. We have to accept that this body as it is. True knowledge that I am not this body brings fearlessness. False knowledge brings fear. We need to choose what you want. The 20th sloka talks about why this intellect and mind do not understand and know Atma. All the knowledge we gain is through intellect and mind. But Atma alone we cannot know. That is because the Atma is the knower of everything. Though the intellect and mind cannot conceive Atma, it can understand Atma by receiving information about it. Atma illumines the intellect, mind, senses, ego, and etc. Just like sunlight. You are the Atma and you cannot reveal yourself to yourself. Just like we do not need light to see the light. Thus, all this existence that appears to be real cannot experience Atma. Insentient body, mind, and ego cannot experience Atma. So, what we all are learning is Anatma, not Atma. Just like we study other subjects, we learn Vedanta and try to understand what is Atma. Even the word Atma and Brahman are not connected to Atma and Brahman as such. When someone asks if we are learning Vedanta and about Atma, we should confidently say that we are trying to discard the wrong learning, because only then we can know the real Atma. And Sloka 29 talks about Swabodhe Nanya Bodhecha. Have you ever asked others about whether you are here or not? You do not ask others about your own existence. You ask others only when you have doubt, and you do not doubt your own existence. So you never ask yourself whether you are thinking. If so, then who is the one who is thinking? This is the highest level of contemplation on Atma. Atma is evident without evidence. Sabodhe, Sobodhe, self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is there always, even in deep sleep and coma. According to our Shastras, the difference between deep sleep and coma is Ardha Nidra, half deep sleep. Because when he comes out of coma, he will say, I was there, but I do not know anything. Therefore, self-knowledge cannot be negated or changed. One does not require other knowledge to prove oneself. Therefore, Atma is pure existence and ever existing. Knowledge is Atma and Atma is knowledge. So there will not be absence of knowledge in knowledge. Like there will not be absence of heat in heat. So we can say knowledge itself is Atma. Therefore, we do not need knowledge to Atma. It sounds complicated. When I say I am, that is how I experience my own existence. I exist not only in this physical body, but also in all other physical bodies and all other existences. All creation, it is universal. I prove myself with this experience. It is the final experience. There cannot be any experience beyond oneself. So it is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Absolute means final. Therefore, you are complete. This world is complete. Hari Om. Gurubhyo Namaha.
श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्य कृतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ तपोपि क्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्ष्योऽयम् आत्मबोधोऽभिधीयते। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। ओम नमो नारायणाय। So in Atmabodha, we have discussed the essential character of Atma as Satchidananda, and Atma has no parts. So Atma is partless. Therefore, Atma has no beginning, no end, and there is no chance for any change. Now, here the question is, can we seek Atma? Can we pursue Atma? Can we reach Atma? Can we attain Atma? So this is the question. We can't attain ourselves because the self is attained always. And we can't seek ourselves because the seeker himself is seeking. Now, then what is the effect? Then why we do all this effort to attain Atma? How can it happen? So then last sloka it is said, Swabodhe Nanya Bodhecha. For self-awareness, for self-knowledge, there is no need for another knowledge, another support. In that case, there is no possibility of any action. There is no possibility of any seeking the self. So this is a big problem in the sadhana of Vedanta. We are trying to attain something that cannot be attained, impossible to attain. So then what? So this is the problem which when we learn Vedanta, practice Vedanta, we face this. If Atma is all-pervading, how can we lose Atma? How can be there a space without Atma? If there is a space without Atma, it means Atma is not omnipresent. Atma is not all-pervading. So this is again a self-contradictory statement. Stating that Atma is all-pervading, Atma is omnipresent, then saying that you seek Atma, Atma Jijnasa, you do meditation on Atma, you learn Vedanta and practice Vedanta, all terms we use. If the self-knowledge needs any help from outside, then we could provide some from Vedantic knowledge or any other knowledge, any other gurus. If this self-knowledge is always attained, what is the use of guru? Why these gurus, they are teaching all this? Why there is need of a guru? What is the role of guru? So this is the secret of Vedanta. We attain the attained Atma. We experience the ever experienced Atma. The how we do, how it's possible. So there is a method, there is a practice. It's called Neti, the method of negation, method of discarding the experiences. So we negate all the experiences and realize the experiencer. This is the famous Neti. It comes and in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is the largest Upanishad of Vedanta. This in the second chapter of that Upanishad, the third part of that comes this Neti Atma. We can call it the doctrine of negation. This is the ultimate intellectual practice which can be practiced by a seeker. The doctrine of negation, the theory of negation. So in the 30th Sloka, we learn this Nishidhya nikhilopadhin neti neti divakyataha vidyadaikyam mahavakyer jivatma paramatmanoho.
Na paramatmanoho.
So Mahavakya, with this Mahavakyas, we learn this, the theory of negation. The reason is, as I told just now, Atma cannot be attained or Atma cannot be reached by any other means. Atma can be attained only by negation, that negation of non-Atma, which we are connecting with. Therefore, we negate all the knowledges, all the experiences, all the conditions, and then what is left back is the experiencer, the negator. That is the self, is called Neti Atma. So when there is no conditioning, no upadhis, no attributions, then the pure consciousness is experienced as the self-awareness. There is no adjective, nothing is there. It's purely self-awareness, consciousness. So it is said in this sloka, Nishidhya Nikhila Upadhin. Nikhila Upadhin means all these upadhis, limiting adjuncts. We have learned the word for upadhi is limiting adjunct. So what is anything which is limiting the all-pervading, that's called upadhi. Or any adjective, any condition. This upadhi is supposed to be different from the Atma which is connecting with that. But because of superimposition, because of misunderstanding, the Atma is identified with these limiting adjuncts. That's the only problem. Therefore, the method is to separate, to negate, to discriminate all these upadhis. Nikhila upadhina. Nishidhya. Nishidhya means discarding, negating. By negating all these upadhis, this is a meditation like Neti, how we negate not this, not this. Or we can say, this is not, this is not. This is not Atma, this is not Atma, this is not me, this is not me. Naham, naham. Neti. So neti iti vakyataha. This is a statement of Upanishad. That is called vakyataha. Vakya. It's a sentence we see in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The ultimate method of vedantic knowledge, which can be practiced. By this, now, when we negate all the conditions, even thoughts, there is no thoughts. There is no thought which can be identified as an object, because that's also not there. So whenever one thought appears, it brings an object. Is there any thought without object? No, it cannot be. Now, if thought brings object, that object will be experienced by Atma. Right? So there is an object and the experience and the experience. So I am saying this process within the mind, it's not outside. So we see objects in our mind. So each thought brings an object, and the object is seen by Atma. So when this negation comes, that object and thought is negated. It is denied, thinking that this is not me, not this Neti. This is not truth. This is not real. It's just a function of mind. So this is a Neti meditation on Atma. Now, this can be called as the highest meditation in Vedantic philosophy, because you don't entertain any thought. Even Vedantic thoughts are not entertained in this level of meditation. Only the remembrance, or what we can say, the feeling of presence of one's own self. Other than everything is negated. So practice this, close the eyes and sit in a posture of meditation, and try to see the mind as an object. Suddenly, continuously, mind will bring all the object one by one, whatever you know. Then just make this thought, this is not me, this is not me, this is my object. I am the seer, I am different from this. So let it go. I don't need this. I'm not attached to this. So bring this thought process constantly and try to stay on in that level of meditation. So good thoughts, there is no separation of good thoughts and bad thoughts. Now all thoughts are negated. Therefore I said, even Vedantic thoughts are not entertained in this level. You are not trying to remember anything. Just make the mind vacant. So in this process, you will directly experience the presence of Atma. You know this is something is there which is experiencing all this. even this negation is experienced. Because we bring this meditation by mind only, with mind only. Therefore, that is also there. So then, slowly, deeply, this negation will also disappear. So first, there were all emotional thoughts. Then the second level, the intellectual objects, and they will appear. And when you continue to observe this, slowly, deeply, the negation will also disappear. In that moment, you have the flash of omnipresent Atma. This is very simple technique, but it needs a steady mind and subtle mind to observe this. Although mind has no role, because when there is no thought is there, or we are not entertaining any thought, so what is the role of mind? But to practice this, we need the meditation technique. Therefore, we call the mind is there. Mind has some role in this. So, this meditation, vidyad aikyam mahavakyehi jivatma paramatmano. So when this even this negation disappears, then there is no individuality. There is no individuality as jivatma. Why? Because jivatma was experiencing the objects and enjoying the objects. Now, the enjoyer itself is negated. The ego is also negated. That there is no chance of personality. So, jivatma paramatmano. So, what was there in jivatma, individual soul? Only the reality of individual soul was Satchidananda. And what is in Paramatma? Paramatma is also Satchidananda. Now, Jivatma and Paramatma both has the same character, same qualities. That is Satchidananda. So if Jivatma, Paramatma both are Satchidananda, then what is there? There is no difference. So there is no supreme Atma, Paramatma, and there is no individual Atma. There is no point of separation. Where to separate, what to separate. So therefore, Jivatma Paramatmanoho Aikyam. Aikya means oneness. Aikya. Eka means one, and Aikya means the state of oneness. Advaita, non-duality. The non-dual state is experienced. Mahavakyehi. Mahavakya, we know Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, all these Vakyas, sentences are called Mahavakyas. But the Mahavakyas are the summary of sutras of Vedanta. They convey the message of oneness, oneness of Jivatma and Paramatma. So Mahavakya, such as Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi is a Mahavakya from Chandogya Upanishad Samaveda. So Vidyad Aikyam Mahavakya Jivatma Paramatmanoho. So whenever you are free, when you get some time, you can practice this Neti meditation. Just negate one by one. Because we have already negated body, mind as Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and all those. Because we know this is not Atma. That's already we have discussed it before. Now, what was there in the mind was the experiences, what we call as experiences, knowledge, informations. Even with Vedantic, Vedantic thoughts. So now in this stage, we are not entertaining even this Vedantic thoughts for this meditation. So in this meditation, no thought is entertained, no thought is concentrated. There is no concentration as well. So in all other meditation techniques, we use concentration because we need some object to concentrate. In this meditation, the speciality of this meditation is here there is no concentration, only negation is there. We are negating it. So after negation, what is left over? That's the experience of Atma. So that's called Neti Vakyataha. So when we practice this, we can directly enjoy this Atma by its own presence. Now, in this stage, Atma doesn't need any qualification. In this stage, Atma is not qualified with any adjective. Okay, so this is like absence of. It's like absence of your own existence. So the individuality has gone. Okay, the individuality has gone, but you are there. This is the experience. The limiting adjuncts are not there, but you are there. You are not remembering any object, but you are there as consciousness alone. You go beyond all remembrance, go beyond all thought process. So this is the ultimate meditation in this. Here, we are not negating our own existence because our own existence cannot be negated. the negator, the experiencer is still there. Now the wonderful thing is, here the experiencer is there without an experience. Remember this. Here in this stage of Neti, the experiencer is there, the so-called experiencer is there without an experience. So they're completely free. But this is not the state of sleep. We should not fall into sleep. Okay. So when there is no thoughts in the mind, you may get sleep, because that is the function of brain. The waves, brain waves, comes down to 0.5 level. It gets sleep. It goes into sleep mode. But here, it will not happen. It should not happen. Okay. So therefore, it is still different from sleep as well. So it is different from waking state. It is different from sleeping state. Of course, it is different from dream state. There is no dream, there is no object. And it is different from even meditation, because you are not concentrating on this. You are not concentrating on any point. Therefore, it cannot be called as a usual, no, as a normal meditation. So therefore, this is something very special in Vedanta, this Neti. Vedanta, it is called the last teaching. The Neti teaching is called the final teaching. Beyond this, there is no chance of Vedantic teaching. Okay? Then the next sloka continues with, again, little more elaboration on the process of this Neti, elimination of illusory upadhis, avidyagam sharirati drishyam buddhavaksharam edad vilakshanam vidyadaham brahmedi nirmalam. You can only stay a very little time in this Neti state when you practice this in the beginning. After that, immediately some thought will come. Some thought will appear and some object will be there. So then how can we eliminate that? Avidyagam sharirati drishyam buddhavaksharam. So make this thought that up to the ignorance, up to the avidyaka, avidya means ignorance, and whatever is created, what we see as creation, sharira and so on, all that is created by avidya. ignorance of self. So avidyagam sharirati, we call it causal body. Avidya is a causal body because it's the cause of all manifestations. Avidyagam sharirati drishyam budbuddha sannibham, budbuddha svatksharam. And the perceived objects, whatever we see, are different from Atma. Whatever appear there in the mind, drishyam, those all called drishya, which is fit to be perceived. So drishyam budbuddha sanni, budbudhavaksharam. It's like bubbles, as bubbles on water. Now you see so many bubbles on water and move, and there are so many actions are seen in that. And they stay for a moment. That's all. But even though they appear, they have some existence. They give some feelings. No, when bubbles come up, if you are attached to with those bubbles, you will feel bad when they disappear. We used to play in our childhood when we see water and bubbles. No, we play with bubbles. So when they disappear, oh, we feel so bad. Oh, my bubble disappeared. No, it's something like this. So there is no meaning. It's what does it mean? Because bubbles come up for a moment. It cannot stay for a long. It will disappear. Perhaps we can say the bubbles are up for disappearing. No, the bubbles appears for disappear. So this only this much time they move around and they make friends, they connect each other, and all those activities happen. So all these drishyas, whatever we see as an objects, they are all like bubbles on water. Ksharam, it's called, it's perishable. It destroys. It dies after some time. Edad vilakshanam vidyadaham brahmedi nirmalam. Again, this Vedantic thoughts. Edad vilakshanam vidyad. I am different from all these objects. Edad vilakshanam vidyad aham brahmeti. I am that Brahma. Vidyad, know yourself as Brahma. Know yourself as omnipresent Brahma. So, aham brahmeti. The Brahma means all-pervading. It's like space. Space is all-pervading. If you know how space is all-pervading, you will get some idea how the self is also all-pervading. So, aham brahmeti vidyad, aham brahmasmiti vidyad. To realize this reality of your own self. As soon as one realizes this, that all these objects in the thought are different from me, I am the seer of all these thoughts. So that moment, this realization will happen that I am not limited entity. I am not limited in this body. my limitation is an attribution with the mind. There is no limitation for me. So aham brahmedi nirmalam, pure, truly unaffected with all this avidya and its conditions, uncontaminated, pure, nirmalam. So this we already know. In this 31st sloka, Shankaracharya ji is trying to say only one point, that what you have experienced in that previous sloka, Neti Neti by Neti Neti, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. Then what you are? So you are Brahman. You are all-pervading. When there is no conditioning, when there is no thought, when there is no objects, you have no limitation. So yourself cannot be limited. So therefore, it's supposed to be all-pervading Brahman. So there is two chances, only two options we have. One option is when there is no thought, absence of thought, we can say absence of self. That is one option. Because there is no thought, there is no activity, there is no feeling of anything, then what you are? In that case, we can say absence of self. That is one option. The another option is when there is no limiting adjunct, even thoughts are not there, then we can say that all the boundaries, all the limiting adjuncts have broken, they are not existing, then I am like sky. I am like no space everywhere. So this is another option. Now, if we compare this both these options, both these experiences, the first one says, if there is no thought, you are not there. Is it right? It is not right. Because without thought also, you are there. Thought is just a function of brain. When it has some action, some object, the mind will function, then thought will be processed, and then the experience and emotions will appear. All this happens. But this is not connected with Atma. We cannot say if there is no thought, there is no Atma. If there is thought, there is Atma. We can't say that. Why? Because in deep sleep, even without thought, we experience our own Atma there, constantly, undoubted. It is not a mistake. It is real. It is not an imagination. It is real appearance. That you feel that I am there even in deep sleep, where there is no individuality, no ego, nothing. So therefore, in those two options, the first one is not right as we consider our experience. It's just opposite of our experience. So then the second option is better because it accepts the existence of reality of Atma and say it's all pervading. Now, the fundamental question will arise here is, if Atma is all pervading, why we don't have that experience of omnipresence? People will ask this question. Why we don't have the experience of omnipresence? If Atma's essential nature, Atma stays as omnipresent, then why we don't experience that? The answer is, omnipresence cannot be experienced. Only limited thing can be experienced. Because for experience, for our normal experience, what we call as experience, it should have 2 points, 2 ends. Are you getting me what I am trying to say? Any experience, what we call as experience, should have 2 points. The starting point and the ending point, or the A and B. Only with 2 points we can call something as experience. Okay. If there is no A, no B, there is no point, A point and B point, then how can you call it as an experience? Because we don't have any answer. There is no end for that experience. There is no beginning for that experience. Then what is that experience? Can we experience a book without beginning and end? No. Can we experience an emotion of pleasure or sorrow without a beginning and end? No. We can't experience anything. Therefore, be careful with this idea of experience in this stage of Atma. That's Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. Although we call Aham Brahmasmi as an experience, but this is totally different from the experience we have in our phenomenal world, or the concept of experience we try to understand by thought process, or the experience what we convey to others, the experience what we discuss with others. This Aham Brahmasmi experience is not such an experience. Okay. Therefore, in this sloka, Acharya says, by Neti practice, what you experience, what you know, is beyond all conditionings, beyond all limitations. So therefore, there is no point of calling this as an experience. Because when we call it as an experience, certainly we will compare this with our phenomenal experiences. You understand this point? Therefore, although it's also an experience, because the Atma, the experiencer is there. The presence of Atma is there. But for the sake of correct understanding, we don't call it as an experience. Okay, to avoid the wrong conditioning of mind, to avoid a thought process there. Because as soon as I call it experience, you will definitely make a thought process highly spiritual. It may be highly spiritual and highly Vedantic. You will make a thought process, but I don't want you to make a thought process. Then what can I say? I say you don't call it experience, you don't call it anything there. Just be free with your own presence. So one special thing is here. If I play with this word presence, when I say presence, I say make your own presence. I say make know your own presence. Now the wonder here is you are unable to make a thought process for your own presence. Can you make a thought process for your own presence? Huh? No, it's not possible. But if I say you experience something, you will definitely make a thought process because you have so many experiences. You will bring some of the experience. If I say you make a thought or you know your own presence, then there is no chance of making a thought process without an object. Therefore, Tattvamasi. Therefore, Aham Brahmasmi. You are experiencing your own omnipresence state. That's all. Therefore, we don't call it as a normal experience. And we don't add any adjective here. Okay, it's the purest form of Atma. Okay, so we go to the next sloka, which is talking about oneness, again with the oneness with Brahman. Dehanyatvanna me janma jara karsha layadayaha shabdadi vishaye sango nirindriyadayana cha. Deha anyatvad name janma jara karsha layadayaha. All these manifestations, all this process are there in body, only in physical body. Physical body takes birth, janma, and it has all this old age and decaying and laya. At last it dies. So janma, old age, jara, karshyam. Karshyam means weakness and all this, what happens in old age. Laya, the end, the death. All this 6 different changes, manifestations: birth, existence, growth, transformation, decline, and ultimately death. It is only with body, physical body. Name, I don't have this. Shabdadi Vishayehi Sankaha, Nirindriyataya Nacha. And not only this, all these objects are sound, touch, taste, all these objects, sense objects, are there in sense organs. They have the connection with sense organs. And I am beyond those sense organs. Sense organs are my instruments. And one who uses instruments are supposed to be different from those instruments. And then only he can use those instruments. Obviously, instruments cannot control the user, the operator. The operator is the controller of instruments. The instruments cannot control the operator. If instruments control the operator, then what happens? Operator loses his operational qualities. So he is no more an operational. He is no more. So if he is an operational, the operator can do all those works. Therefore, those indriya sense organs are different from me. Nirindriyataya. I am the operator of those. This operation is attributed because Atma is really not even the operator. We cannot call it. But when sense organs are operating, functioning, those functions of sense organs are attributed to Atma. That's all. Therefore, Atma is totally different from all these functions. So, Shabdadi Vishayehi Sankaha. Shabdadi Vishaye Sankaha. He says, in reality, I don't have any association, connection with this Shabdadi Vishaya, all these sound and other objects. I don't have really any connection with those. Because these instruments as indriyas, sense organs, are different from me. No? So this also, this can be again a practice of this meditation. This is not like the Neti meditation. This is a different meditation. Neti is the highest meditation, which leads to the final denial of all objects and thoughts. But this meditation can be practiced. How can be practiced? When you hear a sound, okay, now you are hearing something. Okay, so when you hear this sound, think that this sound is produced and sound is an object, and this hearing process is happening not in me. This is not happening, not in me. The eardrums and some process, the function in brain, that is what is hearing. I am not with this hearing. So try to visualize this function. If you know the scientific process, how we hear, then that's very easy. So you remember what you studied in your school textbooks about hearing. So just remember and meditate on that. So what is hearing? So hearing is this. So there is no role for you there. Okay. So sounds are touched there in the eardrums, and the eardrums vibrates. Then they send some signals to brain. So then brain identifies those signals. Then you say, I hear. Now what you did? Nothing. You just apply yourself as a hearer, as a listener to those vibrations. But all the process is done by brain and its activities. Okay. So try to remember this and meditate on that. Now, what would happen? The experience will be, you will be completely concentrated on that, and you will not see any other objects. There will be complete concentration on this process. Each time when you are aware about sound, make this meditation. Contemplate on that. So that is the meditation techniques we can use here. Similarly, with all other objects, not only meditation, even touch. You know how the touch sensation works. And with the taste, it's one again very useful meditation. When you eat something, if you have the taste, try to realize that taste, how the taste is become no, the knowledge, you have some awareness of that. So try to know what is happening there. So see each function of this sense organs and mind. So that is the meditation here. Shabdadi Vishaye Sanko Nirindriyataya Nacha. So make yourself distinct from all these functions, separate from all these functions. And then try to be in that inherent awareness, unchangeable awareness. So when we meditate on this, the process of hearing and the process of taste and all this, we will be in that awareness. Okay. So we conclude with this here. If anybody has any question, any clarification, can be proceeded. Hari Om.
I am Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Swamiji, when you explained the meditation on rain, could you please one more time explain, Swamiji? I didn't get it.
What?
When we meditate on rain, when we hear the sound of rain, so Swamiji explained the way of meditation by concentrating on the rain, the sound of the rain. So please, one more time, could you please explain, Swamiji?
Yes. any sound. It's not the sound of rain. No, it can be sound of music, any of sound, anything. So close the eyes and try to bring that sound into your ear dreams. Okay, if you know how the hearing process is completed by brain, so remember all those what you studied in schools. This is how I hear, and connect the sound and eardrum as a middle agent, and then leave it. That's all. So in this process, you will see the sound is appearing in your mind as an object completely separate from you. You are distinct from all these functions. So this is the meditation there. And you will be not attached with the sound, the quality of sound, of the function of the sound.
ഈ റൂം ബാക്കി എന്ത് ചെയ്താലും എനിക്കൊന്നുമില്ല. ഈ റൂം ഒഴിച്ചിട്ട് പെയിന്റ് ഇടുക, അത്ര തന്നെ. കിച്ചണ് വേണം.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Hariyo.
Hariom Swamiji. Namaskaram.
Hariyo, namaskaram.
I have a couple of questions, Swamiji. Please tell me, when we are in Sushupti Avastha, when we are asleep, there are certain scenarios created during our dream. Right? There is an element of fear, there is an element of happiness, there is an element of different scenarios we experience during our sleep. So,
in sleep.
Yes, in sleep, of course. In
not
sleep.
In sleep, it should be, it may be in dream state.
Yes, dream state, of course. Yeah, dream state. We dream of different things, and maybe those things are somewhere or at some point of time connected with our lives or with the lives of the other people we are connected with. Right?
Well.
So, is that a manifestation of the self, or that is a manifestation of the work of Atman?
No, whatever happens in dream, self has no connection with that. Self is an observer, a seer of those objects. Those objects which are there in dream from mind. This is the function of mind, a subconscious mind. That's what we see as dream. Therefore, self or Atma is not manifested in any of these states. In waking state, where we experience all our empirical experiences, what we call as normal worldly experiences. There also, this body and sense organs and mind, intellect, they work together with their own activities. Their Atma has no activity as such, no manifestation as such. So Atma is still different from this, because Atma is seeing this object. The theory says the seer cannot be seen. Seer cannot be made seen as an object. And the object cannot be made as seer. The object cannot be subject, and subject cannot be object. So if you are seeing something, like you see a picture, a film and the film is on, there are so many different activities. You are totally different from that activities, what is happening there. You are only the seer and you are enjoying the film, the cinema there. The same thing happens in a dream state. The mind takes all outside objects, the imprints of those experiences are replayed there. Like we shoot videos in our cameras, and after some time we replay that and enjoy it. That's all. The same thing happens there. Hari Om.
Yes. My second question is, Swamiji, that as you said, that Atma is omnipresent, it's omnipotent, right? And it's all-pervading. And if it is all-pervading, it's pervading in our bodies as well as in our senses and our mind, everywhere. Right? If it is everywhere, then why do we need to go to Vedanta studies to recognize our Atman, or to elevate our Atman, or to elevate our spiritual level? If it is all-pervading, it's all knowledge. So what's the need for all these Vedanta practices, or learning or hearing? Because like we said, that the hearing, as well as there is a Shankara's, Adi Shankara's verse, that Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittananaham. We are nothing. It's just negating, I suppose, as you said, Neti Neti. It's that negating, right? So if it is that, if our true self is Atman, then why we have to experience all the Vedic teachings, all this thing to attain the Atman? If it is omnipresent, it should be within our reach. Why it is without out of our reach? Please explain.
Right. So it's a good question. You see, just now in my during my talk, I mentioned this point. If Atma is all-pervading, why we need to study all this? Because all-pervading is always available. We are not going to achieve that. So this is the question. Now, you see, if the space is everywhere, for example, okay, space is everywhere, we know space is everywhere. But how we know this space is everywhere? After studying some physics, we study about the elements, earth, air, fire, and all those. We study their characteristics. After that, we are ready to accept that space should be everywhere, because there is no chance of spacelessness. Correct? Now, if somebody who has no knowledge of this physics and this physical phenomenon, then how can you say, how can you teach that person that space is everywhere? Because for him, there is no space. He doesn't understand what the space is. Therefore, to know the space, one needs to make a thought, to study about that, the reality of that. Although space is there, always there. But the theory should be applied. The logic should be applied. We teach our own mind that this is space. This is how space is all-pervading. This is how we experience the space. That's all. And after studying that, we don't bring space, we don't attain space. There is no process such, but only that thought process of scientific thought process, which teaches us that space is everywhere. With that, we experience that, accept that. This is regarding outside objects. But Atma, since Atma is our own true nature, so close to ourself, or we can say ourself, that is that's the closest thing that we can think about. Let it be like that. But if we don't make a thought process of knowing that this self is all-pervading, if we don't have any logic, then how it is understood? Therefore, by Vedantic knowledge, by all this practical and truthful, logical thoughts, we learn how Atma is all-pervading, because we think Atma is limited. Atma is only there in this body. To change this wrong apprehension, we need to bring Brahmakara Vritti. It is called Brahmakara Vritti. But Brahmakara, to make that Brahmakara Vritti, Aham Brahmasmi, we study all this. That's all. Therefore, it is not in vain unless you know that this is to make correct thought process regarding our own self, which is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Satchidananda. Therefore, we need to make some theory and some logic, some practice to really accept it, really be in that. That's all.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay.
And yes, please continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Swamiji. And one more question I have, because maybe it's because of ignorance, and it's my first class in your presence, Swamiji. And I want to satiate my one query also. That is that if Atman, you said Atman, Atma and Paramatma are one and the same thing, right? And if it is one and the same thing, then why is Atma confined within this mortal body? Because Paramatma is all-pervading. Atma is also all-pervading, but it seems to be confined within the body. And I have seen some people, some elderly people of my family or other people dying, and somebody's Atma escapes through one's nostrils, somebody's Atman escapes through one's mouth. So during the whole lifetime, Atma seems to be confiscated, confined within the body, and it gets released only at the time of Laya or death.
Correct.
So Paramatman is everywhere in the whole Brahman. It's in everywhere. So Atman, why is Atman confiscated? Why is it confined? If it is Paramatma, it's the part of Paramatma, or maybe it's Paramatma. Please tell.
Yeah. It's very simple. This is one of the main subject of Vedanta. It's simple as we know that space is everywhere. I take the same example because we are continuing with that. We know that space is everywhere. We accept that space is everywhere. Okay. Now, the space inside our room, space inside any of the vessels, like a glass, the teapot, or a pot of the thing, anything, any bottle, water bottle, or wherever. We know the same space is there. Okay. So when we move one bottle, one water bottle from one space to another space, what happened to that space? We call it, we move the water bottle. Water bottle is the space inside the space, because space is there in that water bottle. So we move water bottle in the space, from one space to another space, and inside the water bottle also space, outside also space. So similarly, in this body, just imagine this body is like a water bottle. Okay, there is a cavity in this body. Just imagine that space outside, space inside the body. We cannot say the space outside and inside, both the space are different. No, we can't say that, because from science we know space is inside and outside, everywhere is the same. Only one space we have. But the separation is made because of this body, the structure as body, structure as water bottle, the plastic water bottle or whatever. So this is how it's separated. Now, like when we move water bottle one space to another space, one place to another place, one room to another room, we can call the space is moved. The space, which space is moved? The space inside the bottle is moved. But actually, really thinking, there is no movement of space. That water bottle, which we can call it as a structure, that structure of water bottle moves. Because as we know from science, space cannot be moved. It is unmovable. It is in science is also unmovable. In our Vedanta, Sankhya, Yoga, and all philosophy, whoever accept space as an entity, they say it's unmovable. Right? So this is how we call it, all this body, mind complex as an equipment for Atma, and we call it upadhis for Atma. Then with this body, mind, all this birth, death, changes, everything happens. That's all. So whatever happens to body and mind, we mistakenly or we superimpose all this into Atma, because we are identifying Atma with this body. As you said, somebody is dying, we attribute the death to that person. Actually, the death is happening only to the body, even not to the mind, according to our philosophy. Mind is not died. Intellect is not died, because that is Sukshma Sharira. It moves one body to another body. That's how it happens. So think of this space, air, and like that, how they are separated, how they are distinct from one another. Okay? So this is how all these functions are attributed to Atma. All the functions of body-mind complex attributed to Atma. Okay, so I think we can stop here for today. It's already 9:30. Anybody has anything? Ask.
Hariom
One
Swamiji.
question? You
Hariom.
have some? Oh, welcome. You have a question?
Only one small this thing in 31st Sloka about self-awareness. You are talking about the thoughts. That when you are meditating and on a thought, that thought limits it. The limitation is there. So you said that you don't have any thoughts in your mind, so that if we have the feeling of that limitness, but that is also an experience. The limit, the feeling, the awareness is also an experience. Is it? It is the same.
Yes, that I said no. For the sake of our understanding, we call it as an experience. No, I tried to put it in maybe 5 minutes. I talk. Try to make it clear. We call it an experience, but it is not an experience because only the experiencer is there. If there is no object, what is experienced? If there is no object of experience, then why we call it experience?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, yes.
So there is, therefore, for the, in order to understand, in order to communicate, we bring all this language, and all these words. But in actual experience, or when we practice, we will know that how it is proceeding. If we study Vedanta correctly, systematically, we will not miss any point. Because in each verse you see, Shankaracharya is bringing a particular point to make it clear. Is trying to make it so clear that one should not miss any point. So there is no there should not be any chance of misunderstanding. But for the language, we of course we should say something. Otherwise, no, nothing will happen. Like Neti. Now, how can we explain Neti? Because if you put any word there, even the word negation, I told you, no, even the negation should be negated. So we don't keep the negation there. But there is no other options but to take some of these words and play with that. That's all. Okay?
Okay.
So try to practice little by little, then you will yourself realize. Because if I have my own realization with this, if I want to convey that, I have to search for words. And the words, when we take any of the word, when you listen to that, you will catch hold on that, the meaning of that word. What you know that. I may be using in some other realm, but the word is the same, no? So there is a chance of this. Okay? Thank you. Harihi Om. Om Namo Narayana. Om Purnamataha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.